Okay, so started the second day of MJM 21 reporting techniques. Again, I'm welcoming my colleague Aparna. And Aparna, please take it forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So yesterday we saw till I think news concepts we dealt with, and then we also saw spoke about news sources, the way we source news from different quarters. Now we'll be taking up. There are two more topics in that. One is I think it's about the structure of news bureaus, slight difference between digital and print and digital journalism, as well as if you go into a newsroom which is exclusively broadcast media, that also will be slightly different. And then we have to today we have to deal with block 2, which is more about reporting techniques. That is right. As per the syllabus, we have in reporting techniques, we have types of news reporting, then how do you research for a particular news report, and then you have interview tools, and then understanding data. These can be weaved into our general topic of the news structure, because if I'm sure some of them are some of you are scribes themselves, journalists themselves, so they would know how a news structure is. It's more or less the same across the world, with slight variation in terminologies. Somewhere, if you're called assistant editor, the same person will be called deputy editor in some other organizations. So slight variation in terminology, but the structure is mostly the same. The workflow is mostly the same. So depending on the workflow, the structure of news reports, news bureaus are there. Any newspaper, you will have a headquarters. Headquarters is, I'm talking about print. The same is with digital as well as broadcast. Inside structure is a bit different, but the hierarchy is more or less the same. You have a headquarters. In India, the headquarters is mostly in Delhi for most of the organizations. Some papers, some print journals or broadcast media, some of them are centered in places like Chennai. The paper I work for, it is headquartered in Chennai. Whereas, just a moment, I'll just have a little water. I'm just recuperating from a cold, very bad flu. So my throat is gone. So I'm sorry if you people find it difficult to understand me. You can stop me and ask. So I was talking about news bureaus. You have the headquarters in a particular place. Like, for example, my newspaper is headquartered in Chennai. Chennai is in South India. It's the capital of a South Indian state called Tamil Nadu. It's headquartered there. And then you have subsidiary bureaus or subsidiary centers in many parts of the country. Across the country, you have it. For example, let me take an organization called BBC. All of you might be aware of the British Broadcasting Corporation. It is headquartered in London, but it has got reporters and journalists all over the world, or AP or AFP. Similarly, they also will be having it in different parts of the world. 1 minute. Thanks. Thank you. So such people, what happens is, such an organization which functions out of a headquarters, that particular headquarters will have the power center. That will be the power center of that particular organization. So suppose if there is the organization called the Times of India. Times of India is a very old newspaper in India. Its headquarters is in Mumbai, which is the capital of a state called Maharashtra. It's called the financial capital of India, in Mumbai. The headquarters is in Mumbai. So the Mumbai headquarters will have two editorial section. I'm talking about the journalistic section. You will have an HR section, you will have a circulation section, you will have an advertisement section. Different sections of the newspaper will be there. Finance section, but the main center is the editorial section. The editorial section is the place where the news is produced, processed, and presented. So that editorial session will have two branches, two prominent branches. One is the reporting, the next is the editing. Reporting section will have reporters as per their hierarchy who will be sourcing the news, writing the news, and editorial section will be where this news, after process, that is after writing and once approval by the head of that department, will go to the editorial. Editorial will comprise of sub editors, designers, and the news editors who will be editing that story, making a proper layout of that story on the page of the newspaper, and then passing it on to the press. The press is where the newspaper would be printed. And the next day morning, that is usually printing takes place in the evening. Evening, it's not even evening, late evening, say 2 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock. And then this newspaper product, the finished product, will go on to the circulation department. That is, the circulation person will come and okay the lot, and that will go to the agents, newspaper agents, and from the newspaper agents, it will go to different parts of the city or the state as the requirement is. So now, sorry, the reporting section. Let's take two different sections I told you. Let's take the first section, which is the reporting section. The reporting section will have reporters who are ranked as per their experience and expertise. So if I'm a fresher, I'm right fresh out of college, so I will become a trainee reporter. Trainee reporter means the one who's learning. I'll be given, say, 1 year's time to get accustomed to the environment of the newspaper, get accustomed to the system, to go on the ground and make sources, find my ground, see which area I'm interested in, whether it is environment reporting or crime or court or education, social welfare, which is the part of journalism I want to write about or I am more interested in. All these activities will take place over the years, but the trainee reporter will be exposed to all this so that he or she will know what exactly is the path they should take. So that is a trainee reporter. Trainee reporter sometimes will be accompanied or will have to accompany a senior reporter. Sometimes they'll be let on their own. For example, this newspaper called Indian Express, which is said to be one of the most proactive newspapers in India, which has broken the maximum number of stories, done a lot of investigative reporting. Such a newspaper will not allow you to go with any reporters. Even if you're just 1 day old in a newspaper, they'll say, go and cover the story on your own. The reason is they say you need to learn, and you would be pitted against veterans like from other newspapers. Say the Hindu. From the Hindu, they might deploy a person with 15 to 20 years experience. From Express, you as a one with 1 day or 2 days experience have to compete with that person in getting the news, knowing the news, finding his perspective. It's like throwing a small boy or a girl who does not know swimming into the waters. Learn it yourself that way. That is why they make the best reporters. Indian Express reporters are said to be the best reporters because they learn it the hard way. So that is a trainee journalist who gets to know everything and who will be, as I said, there are news sources. Building news sources is it's not a difficult task, but it is a laborious process, meaning that you will have to go and familiarize yourself with the environment. Like, for example, you go to a crime scene. Suppose if there is a murder nearby and I go to report on that murder, I go there, I don't understand who is there, what is happening. I'm a trainee reporter, I don't know whom to speak to. That is the time when I should know from where exactly should I get the right information. Otherwise, there will be thousands of people there, and all of them would be talking to each other, telling each other, their versions of what happened. Now, which one do I write? I'm a reporter. which one do I write in my paper? There'll be thousand. If there are thousand people, then all the thousand people will have thousand different versions. So which is the version I should write? So that means I have to speak to the right person. And who's the right person? I take it for granted that the right person is the one who has a government authority, or the one who is entrusted with the responsibility of probing or investigating that murder. I have to speak to that person. That person will mostly be a policeman. So I need to have my sources in the police department, so that when I go there, I can get the news from that person and also quote him, because attribution is very important in a news report. All of you, yesterday I gave you a small assignment to read newspapers and ask yourself what is news and what are the sources of news. Anybody, I mean, gave it some thought? Did you all try to do a little bit of that? I think there are some new faces here today, but and the others, there are a lot of people who joined yesterday also. One of them can answer me. Did you try and see in any news report? Did you ask the question, what is news here and from where was it sourced? Gusi. Yeah, tell me. Did
Yes,
you?
as for me, yes, I did.
Yeah. Then what was your,
Uh,
how did you find out most of the reports? What was the source of, I mean, what kind of sourcing was done from there? Like, who was the source? How did you find out what the source is from each of the news reports that you analyzed?
I read the story. There is a story. There is a running story that is here in Malawi. It's to do with the government authorities versus the head of anti-corruption bureau, and it so happened that the whole of this week, in fact, the story started this way back. So the whole of this week, we've been reading about this head of anti-corruption bureau being dragged to court. I mean, back and forth, injunctions, taking whatsoever that happens in the courts. So just last night, we heard that the DPP, Director of Public Prosecution, has entirely withdrawn the case in which this head of anti-corruption bureau was answering. So, as I was reading the story in one of the major publications in our country, Malawi, I pinpoint to say the reporter who was doing this story, I think, made it right to pinpoint on the source of the story, of which she talked to the director of public prosecution, and she also verified the story with the lawyers of the head of the anti-corruption bureau, and of course she also went ahead to talk to the spokesperson of the president, because the story is also is involving almost all these parties. So I thought that maybe the reporter did well to identify these critical sources in the story. Thank you.
So, from whatever he said, I understood that the report mostly quoted the director of prosecution, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah. So, which means it was a government official. So, the government,
Yes.
yes. So, which means, in most of the reports, when you are writing anything about crime, court, or policies, or whatever it is, the most credible of the sources are the government sources, like, because the government is supposed to give you the true information. So if you're quoting the government official, which means he is accountable for what he's speaking on newspaper, he can be taken to task depending on what he speaks. Like, it is a witness, it is a court. If you present that his version in court, it becomes a part of the testimony. It can be presented in court and said that, see, this person said that and he's a government official. It's a record. So government officials are very careful when they speak to the press, and they are entitled to give you the right information. There cannot be any, fake news as such. It has to be right. because it is coming in paper, and they will be held accountable for what they speak. So same is the case with broadcast also, that particular whatever they speak on the sometimes you take bites of those people. So the bites that they give to a TV news is something recorded. You can see it. So if you present it in before court, it becomes a record. That person can be sued, or that person can be, his verdict can be taken as a witness for clearing of some cases. So they are very careful when they speak to the media, and their version is the credible version. So a reporter has to always, in terms of anything related to the government, crime, law and order, speak to the government officials concerned, not anyone. Like for example, if a crime is going on, you cannot speak to the education minister. You have to speak to the crime related officials only, police, or whoever is investigating the case. So I will first speak to the government officials. Then whom will I speak to? I will speak to the witnesses, if at all there are witnesses, like the family or the onlookers. I will speak to what happened. This is what happened. So I will write accordingly. And again, I'll be very, very specific in my writing, because the case has not been proved. Suppose if it is a murder and everyone says this person is the one who killed it, even eyewitness, if he says no, I saw this guy killing the other one, even if that person tells you, yeah, I saw it with my own eyes, still you cannot write it that this person X killed Y. You cannot write. What will you write? X allegedly killed Y. Allegedly means somebody is alleging that this person killed the other one, because you were not there in the scene. You as a person were not there at the scene for you to write that this man killed the other man. You cannot write that. You can only write allegedly killed, because you collected the information from so many different people, based on which a particular man has been taken as an accused. Now he will be tried in a court of law, and only then, if the court finds him guilty, can you write X killed Y. Till then, till that process, it is X allegedly killed Y. So these are the important things a reporter has to understand, that my report should be factual, it should not wrongly implicate anybody, and it should be one step towards proving the justice, like bringing about justice. So what should my report be? It should be true, it should have the right sources, and it should be so factually constructed that my report is just to convey the matter to the masses and not to declare a verdict. Nowadays, this is a big problem, because media trials is a big thing right now. Even before the court deems that person accused, the media will kill the person. No, no, this is the guy who spoiled all the thing. He's the one who did everything. This kind of reporting goes on. That is what we call sensational reporting. You try to up the sensation by creating a lot of hype around a particular topic, so much so that the viewer will finalize in his mind, yeah, that guy has killed this guy, even before it is proved in the court of law. So a reporter has to be very factual. You are not the judge. You are somebody who reports about a particular thing, so that as I said yesterday, the bridge between the people and the event, that is you. Always understand that. If it is a football match, you're not the spectator. You're not the player. Who are you? You are the umpire. You are the one who is actually seeing if the game is played as per the law. That is all you are. You are not the judge. So a reporter has to have that very clearly in his mind. So once I go, and coming back to the source part of it, the government source has to be the most reliable. Who is waiting? I don't know. I think Sir has logged out. Sir is the one who's. Can you find out who it is? Who's waiting?
Yes, someone was asking in the group like they are waiting to be allowed in, but no response.
I
So
cannot
I don't
find
know.
out who it is.
It's Sumi Sarkar from Mauritius.
Who is
She
Sarkar?
wants to
Yes,
be in. She
exactly.
cannot join.
Gosh.
Okay.
I cannot see anyone. Actually, I cannot
She,
find anybody.
her name is Sumi, Sumi.
She's not there in the team right now? No. No, she's not there. Oh God, how do I let her
Maybe it is
in?
from her end. Let's ask her to rejoin again.
Yeah, please ask her to do that. I don't know how to let her in because it's not showing on my window. Anyway,
It's okay. Just continue with the lecture. Thank you.
yes. Okay, so government officials are a great source of news. You will have to take the government, opinion and quote it in your source. What? Because they are the most credible. Their word is the government's word. So you have to write about it. You have to keep them as one big reliable source. And then the next one will be, as I said, the witnesses, the onlookers, people concerned, experts. All these people are sources. So when you actually go into writing a story, suppose if there is an investigative story or a breaking story, let's take investigative story. Investigative stories, you will be tipped off about something by somebody who is there in the system. Now that person who is in the system has to be nurtured by you. It will come, as I said yesterday, give it a lot of time, because when you actually develop the sources, it will take some time, and that time has to be utilized by you to see how factual that source which you are nurturing is. Only then trust sources. Otherwise, nowadays people um, plant stories. They use media to throw mud at others. So you will have to be very careful. A reporter is treading on, like, it's like walking on a razor's edge. You have to be very careful of about whom you take as sources, because a reporter's credibility, a reporter's integrity, a reporter's value, a reporter's work ethics, everything depends on the sources he nurtures. So you have to make sure that you are in the right company, especially when it comes to investigative reporting or any. And once you have good sources, that means you're a good reporter. So you have to trust your sources. But if you have to trust your sources, you have to know that you're trusting the right person. So a trainee reporter learns all this: how to trust people, how to make sources, what are the kind of sources that you have to make. For example, if you're going to a court and you are reporting on the court proceedings, you cannot go to the judge and speak. You cannot go to the judge and ask, what do you think about this? What is it? No, the judge is inaccessible, and judge should not speak to the media also, unless and until it is in a consultative or in an expert opinion kind of thing, legal expert opinion kind of thing. He cannot speak about a subject just offhand. Whom do you speak to then? You cannot speak to the prosecution people, because they will only tell the prosecution side. You cannot speak to only the defense people. I suppose you know the terminologies of prosecution and defense in law. Friends, I suppose you know the difference between what's a prosecution counsel and a defense counsel. Or should I
Yes,
explain?
yes.
I can take it for granted that
Yes,
all of
yes,
you know, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, so prosecution, prosecution side will only tell you the prosecution, version of the case. If you go to the defense side, they'll give you the defense version of the case. So what do you write? You have to take both the angles, plus you have to know about the court proceedings. Maybe you will have to refer to the previous judgments in that particular case, interim judgments, or the history of the case. Who will you actually take as source in that? You will rely on prosecution and defense also. You'll speak to the relatives of the people, if it is something related to a criminal or a civil case. But beyond all that, there is one, group of people whom you will have to nurture as sources, who will be your main informers. Who will that be? Can anyone tell me who that can be in a court scenario? Anybody?
Maybe let me try.
Yeah. Others also,
Let,
please
let-
do try.
yes, because it also depend on the context of what kind of a crime, what kind of yes, a crime that is being held before whatever court or judge. Like in the case of the story that I was talking about, the likely um, source that I would engage would be the experts at law. Okay, in this case, I was talking about the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecution.
Very, very simple.
There is
No. Let me cut you there. I didn't ask about the experts. I just spoke about people in the court who will inform you, who will help you procure judgment, speak to you, inform you if there is any development in that particular. Very simple people they are. They are not experts. Just
there would be court
inform
clerks. There would be
you.
court clerks would help.
Who?
Court clerks.
Court clerks, yes. The
Yes.
people who work there as clerks, the people who work there as, scribes, the people who are, what they say, bench clerks, or, who are, that in a court scenario, there are a lot of people who sit below the judge who are either writing or arranging. You have to make friends with them because they are your biggest strong points. If you make friends with them, they will help you with, I have done that. I used to go to those bench clerks. They would get me verdicts like interim orders or the court history, the court lingo, every. As a trainee reporter, we came to know that we have to befriend them because they are the biggest help. They will help you know about the case, study the case. They will also inform you when there is a development. They also have inside information. Sometimes they'll give you tips which will lead you to a big and breaking story. So you have to always know that such people are the ones who give the news, but you will have to be very careful about what and how much to trust them. That is why I say nurture the sources, but take time, slowly and slowly befriend them, try to know their character, the way they are, how much of integrity they have. Try to be, as matter of fact, yet as friendly as possible with them. Nurture them, and because they are your strong points. But rest everybody, they have an agenda. These people won't have much agenda because they are working for their wages, and you have to protect them. Because if the world cannot know their names, because if the world knows their names, they might lose their job. So you have to be considerate to them also. You have to nurture them in such a way that their identity is not out, but you can trust them. You will have to trust them as much as they will have to trust you. So that is the kind
I
of
was
relationship you have to make. Yeah, Asta.
I was going to add on that. You already said that. Well, sometimes when you start reporting, and then you sometimes suppose there's a crime that has happened, a high level crime, someone killed who was like politically connected here and there. Sometimes you know only this bit, and then these people who are around when you go in the court, and then you try to gather
Yes.
informations. You need to protect them too. But then how? Yeah, this helps you to write, yes, but then the you how credible are these things also. We need to be very careful because at times, like when I started my career, I was like, when you sit in a court, you know nothing. I mean, you cannot go to talk to a judge. The judge won't do a class with you about the case, or even the DPP, or even the lawyers, because they have their own agendas. So this is how it works on ground level, like meeting the small people, but at the same time protecting them. But then there's lots of risk also, because okay, you think you've made a very good paper, but then it's risky
It's
as well.
risky because
Yeah.
you have to think
I
about
have.
that person's, how reliable because there are a lot of people who might take you for a ride also. Among these people also, there might be plans. There will be people who will know, okay, this bench clerk is close to this reporter. So if we influence this bench clerk, we can get this news across to the reporter. So there will be people working behind. So a reporter has to be very aware. That's why I said it's a smart job. It's a smart job because you have to trust, whereas there should always be one eye looking at whether I can trust that person. So it's like, that's why I use the term walking on the razor's edge, but it'll come with practice. It'll be clear over the years, because some of the best investigative reporters in this country or anywhere, if you see, they'll have 2 3 people who as solid sources, who have grown with them literally over the period of 25 30 years since they started their career. That kind of strong bonds people make. So you will have to give it time. You will have to know how to pick your sources, your exclusive sources, how to pick them up. And every organization, when you go, every sector that you go, you try to make such sources which are exclusive to you, where and who are not high in the rung, because the best news is held by people who work at the immediate level, the people who actually do the writing work, actually do the groundwork. Try to make your sources from there. And of course, the top people also should be your sources. But as I said, the most important news is given by the people who deal with it every day. Yeah, somebody raised their hand. I don't know who it is. Hello. Okay. If you feel I'm not, you could also write down on chat your question. The question you have, you can write on. Otherwise, there is a WhatsApp group in which I am also a part of. During the lecture, if you feel there is any doubt that you have and I have not answered it, you can even ask there. We can discuss there as well. So that is a trainee reporter would be doing all those things. Then he would or she would come back and write the news. Writing news is also very important. Whatever you gather, there is a specific way of writing. I think it will be dealt with in a different module altogether called writing. We are dealing with the reporting part. So that is a trainee reporter. The first step is a trainee reporter. Now there will be 2, 3, or 4 or 5 trainees in a newspaper organization, in a particular bureau, because the reporting section is usually called a bureau. Bureau, BUREAU. Bureau is there is a news bureau, and reporting section itself has another bureaus, which is known as the features bureau. News bureau and features bureau. Features bureau mainly deals with lifestyle, entertainment, softer kind of news. Whatever you have in a newspaper, you will have news about, not just about politicians or what is happening. You will also have news about actors and actresses and music and people who report that is completely different. They are called the features bureau. The news bureau mostly deals with news, everyday news, news analysis, politics, crime, court, education. That becomes the news bureau. Within the news bureau itself, you will have an exclusive section which will deal with only the political part of it. That is beat reporting. That is, as I said, when you enter as a trainee, you do all kind of reporting. Then depending on your interest and your taste, or the need of the newspaper, you will be absorbed into one of these bureaus: political bureaus, environment bureau, education bureau, crime bureau. Different, each topic will have a bureau, and that will have one head of the bureau and people below it. That is the hierarchy. That person will be assigned to deal with all the political a political bureau head will be assigned to take care of the political news happening in that area. The crime person will take care of the crime part of it. So after you complete your training, you will be absorbed into one of these bureaus, depending on the your skill and your interest and the requirement of the newspaper. Sometimes you may like environment, but they'll say we don't have vacancy in environment, please join the education bureau. So it also depends on the need of the organization. You will be taken into one of these bureaus, and this bureau, as I said, will have a bureau head, and then you will have in that also there will be a hierarchy. You will have a second bureau head, and then you will have some reporters underneath. So then you become part of a bureau, a larger bureau or a news bureau, who will have a head, and that head is chief of bureau. Chief of bureau is the head of reporting in that particular society, particular city or region. For example, the headquarters of Times of India, Mumbai bureau chief will be the one who will be handling all the bureaus. He'll be the head of the bureau, and each bureau will have its individual head, below which there will be reporters. Now, after you finish your training, you'll be inducted as a reporter. And after some years of reporting and, generally reporting about a particular issue, say political reporting, initially you will be, as a reporter, you'll be asked to cover political rallies, or you will be asked to go for a meeting which is hosted by a leader, or some political event, elections are happening, you will be asked to go and report on, the elections, the election day, or getting the results. Sometimes, on the day the election votes are counted, there will be one reporter standing outside the place where the vote is being counted, and as and when the news comes out, he'll be passing it on to the seniors in the bureau. They'll be quickly typing it and sending it out to the editorial section. From there, it will go to print or the digital media, or in the TV, that is the broadcast media. So reporters will be there who will be covering all the groundwork thing. The others also will go to field, but these people will be the, the beat cops kind of. You are on the beat. You are given. You have to do it. So you are the, they say junior most. So the reporters will be there. Reporters, the next step after some years, they will grow on to become senior reporters. And slowly, you'll be specializing in that subject. Then from senior reporters, you'll become principal correspondents. Again, you'll be specializing more into that subject. Among principal reporters, you will be a small group of people will form the city bureau. City bureau is whatever is happening in the city. That is, say, there is a pipe leak somewhere in the city. So corporation beat, the local body reporting is there, like corporation, municipal corporation, village panchayat. So there is a leak that has happened in one of the main water pipes in the area. So who goes to report? Will the political bureau go to report? No. Education bureau go? No. Court bureau? No. There will be a specific city bureau which will take care of what is happening in that particular city or the region. Everyday issues, everyday groundwork issues, what is happening. So that city bureau will be headed by the principal correspondent, who will have a few reporters under him. The reporters as well as trainees under him, who will do all the running about work. Otherwise, the specialized bureaus, it is very properly restricted. Political bureau will only take care of political things. Education bureau will only take care of education things. City bureau takes care of the city and all. Usually it is given to juniors, very juniors, because they have to learn the ropes. So city bureau will have this principal correspondent, who will be the chief reporter, and under him there will be a small city team. Now, in the main bureau, that is a news bureau, as I said, you will grow from the senior reporter to the principal correspondent rank. From the principal correspondent, then starts the real, specialization. You will become the special correspondent. That is your speciality, or the subject that you are going to get deeper into: analysis, understanding, writing editorials. All these things you have to do when you become the special correspondent. That is one topic, you're specializing in it. Then all these sources which you nurtured from the time you were a trainee till then, will help you to be a good special correspondent. The subject, that is why I said take time to grow your sources, so that by the time you're a special correspondent, you will have a battery or a battalion of sources whom you can trust and help you to make a good special correspondent. And from special correspondent, then some people become assistant editors or senior associate editors, and then those people are also given the additional charge of the bureau chief. That is, a particular bureau, the particular news bureau in a particular area is under that person. So everything comes under him. Political bureau comes under him, the city bureau comes under him, the education, everything comes under him. He is the head of reporting there. So that is the structure of a reporting team. Whereas in the editorial team, you have sub-editors, very much like, trainee reporters. You have trainee sub-editors who will learn the language, how to do editing, grammar, what is a particular kind of grammar that you have to use. It's the normal English grammar only, but for in reinstating currency, a slight tweaking of grammar is done in journalism to give the feel of currency. So that particular trick you have to learn. Then language, the way it is used, as I said, you cannot just go and say X killed Y. X allegedly killed Y. So there are certain lingos which you have to learn. Then there will be photographers. I forgot to mention about that particular section, which is photography. Photographers or videographers, when it comes to your broadcast media, it is people who handle the technical side, the video. I mean, the one who shoots videos, the one who designs in that is newspaper as well as digital medium. You have designers who do the visual part of it. That is, you take the new photographs and you make a collage, or you make whatever you can for the better presentation of the story, for the article. That team would be there. So then sub editors will be coordinating with that team and presenting the what do you say, the news in such a way that it looks good look good on paper. Then they'll be making the pages also. So you need to know pagination software, which you learn on the like on the job learning would be, usually it is on the job. So when you go, because each organization has a different software. We use something called CCI. Indian Express uses Quark Express. So each of the news organization, we have different software that is used. So what happens is you cannot go and say, I know Quark Express, so I know pagination software. No, that pagination software is good for one particular newspaper. So you needn't know exactly how to, the software that is handled by a particular newspaper. That you learn on the job, but you have to have a basic idea. Earlier on, before, designers used to do that job, but now sub editors themselves do it. So there's a hierarchy. Sub editor you have, then you have a senior sub editor. The one who's above sub editors is called senior sub editor. Then you have chief sub editors who specialize on this particular topic or that particular topic. Whatever news comes will come to that person. So you have after that you have the deputy news editor, then you have the editor, news editor. These are the terminologies which are there in the positions which are there in the editorial section. Then the entire newspaper, the entire the unit of the newspaper, including reporting and editing, will come under the resident editor. That particular area will have a resident editor who will be responsible for that particular edition of the newspaper. Like, for example, can you give me a name of your place? Busi, which area do you come from?
I come from Malawi.
Malawi.
Yes.
Okay, the Malawi edition of a newspaper. That particular edition might have 2 or 3 editions. Usually in India, what happens is we have 2 editions. One goes at 11:30, 12 o'clock, which will go to the suburban areas, and one goes at 1 o'clock, which will be exclusively for the city. So there are 2 editions usually in most newspapers. So that particular edition will be under this under the chief of bureau as well as the news editors. Whereas in a broader 2 or 3 editions like this will come under the resident editor, because the resident editor will be handling not just one area, not just Malawi, nearby areas also. So whatever editions come under that, everything would be clubbed to form a region, and this particular resident editor will be responsible for the newspaper activities in total of that area. So that is the hierarchy when it comes to print, and I think it is mostly the same when it comes to digital media also, except that you might have digital experts there, people who handle the digital data, people who handle digital design. All these things happen there also. I mean, because there is a bit of uploading and those kind of activities which go on in the digital media. So there'll be some tweaking of positions there, but largely the structure remains the same. Now, any doubts so far? Yeah, there is a person who spoke about some bureau chiefs in news agencies do the reporting themselves with any. No, that's what I said. Even though there are, reporters and news subordinates for you, you will have to go on the ground. It's not like if you are a if you are a news bureau chief, you don't have to go to the ground. No, it depends on what is being covered. Suppose the president of India or the president of a particular state or a country is coming to address a group of, say, scientists in your hometown. Most probably the topmost person will go to report. It need not be the reporter is sent. On the other hand, if a local leader is giving a presentation, you will send a reporter. But if suppose prime minister, a cabinet meeting is held, then who will go? The person who's at the top, who is a special, who has specialized in that subject. Maybe, cabinet meeting, mostly parliament reporters go. So in the parliament beat, the topmost person will go for that. So depending on the importance of the event, the reporters are sent as per their, the position, expertise, and as well as the amount of contacts they have. Because maybe, in your cabinet meeting they will tell you something which might seem very simple for others, but if you are a sharp reporter, you can understand, no, this particular incident can make a great report. This particular incident, something is fishy there. So he'll have to further probe into that, and to further probe into that, he needs sources. So a person who's of that high, rank, he would have sources. He would have the information. He would know the terminologies. He would know the, where all there are, dark spots, where all there are red flags, and how do I follow it. He would know because he's in the profession for so long. So only a senior person is sent for such things. So I just cannot say that if you become a senior, then you cannot needn't go. No, depending on what the matter is. Asta, you wanted to ask something.
Yes, you spoke about a hierarchy of going to cover items like state visits and all. You know, in practice, you will agree, it's also on real field level. It's more about meritocracy also, because you can be a chief editor, but then your junior goes to cover the state visit. You know,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. That's
yeah,
what I'm
your
saying.
junior goes. Yeah,
There is no hard
it
and
isn't
fast.
always. Yeah, yeah, it isn't always like, because that person is a senior news editor, so he will go, or she will go. Like, yeah, yeah. If I take the
That's what
example
I'm
of the
saying. There
last
is
visit
no hard and, yeah. There is no hard and fast rule
of
that
the
a person alone will go. It depends on the
yeah,
character.
of the last visit of Indian Prime Minister here in Mauritius, Shri Narendra Modi. So yeah, this is like. It should be that way, but there's a level of in an organization of meritocracy and of ability to gauge the event, as you say. Yeah.
So there is no hard and fast rule like that. That's what even Asta was saying. Even what I meant, what I try to tell you is also the same. Just because you are a senior, you needn't be assigned a particular to cover a particular event. On the other hand, just because of you're a senior, it doesn't mean that you don't have to go also. It depends on the importance of the event and your own expertise, your own understanding. Your maybe you might be in the science beat, and you are the chief of the science bureau, but there might be a person who's below you who might be an expert in satellites, the construction of satellites, no knowledge about satellites. So if suppose they're taking you to a place where a satellite is being put together, the chief would, if he's an intelligent chief, he would say, why don't you go, because you have a lot of background information on that. Why don't you go? So need not be that the chief goes for it. The person most eligible to go for it will go for it. So it depends on the discretion of your bosses as well as your own expertise. There's no hard and fast rule anywhere that way. Yeah, something you said. Each one of these editions have this. Yeah. There is something that is written in the chat. I suppose all of you can read it. It's about how the situation in Malawi is. Um, you all want me to read it out, or will you do that also so that I can go to the next section? Yeah, so please read it, all of you, because this is how we learn. One person is telling us how the situation is from the area where he comes from. So you get to know how the journalism works in that particular area. So please keep a note of all these things so that you get to know how journalism is tweaked according to the area it comes from. Journalism is never global. It is always local. That one thing you have to get it into your brain. Now there is something called global journalism. That global journalism terminology is different. It is with regard to how and how news is affecting no, global news is being viewed, that is global events are being viewed. That particular aspect is totally different from the approach that has to be given. Journalism is best only when it is local or localized. As I said yesterday, something that happens in my locality for me is more important than what happens in, say, the Arctic or the Antarctic. I will be more interested in what is happening around. So, this idea has always to be understood that journalism is local and not global. Global journalism has a different connotation altogether. It's important, but that is a different topic altogether. Even global journalism has to be local for it to be understood in a global perspective. So, journalism is local. So, according to the requirement of the area, the composition of news bureaus and news dissemination as well as news arrangement can all undergo changes. I'm talking mostly from the Indian context. There are people here from different countries. They can, what you can do is prepare a note of how things are in your area and post it on our WhatsApp group so that others can learn how the composition of news bureaus are in your areas. So that way, and this is global journalism, understanding the local journalism of, how localized journalism is global journalism. I get to know about the way you handle journalism. You get to know about how I handle that. Interaction is global journalism. So there is a lot of discussion and debate going on in this particular aspect, this area. So whereas we have to get a broader understanding of it, deeper understanding we'll get to know, I think, next if you go to the next year, there is a module called print journalism and digital media where you can get broader perspectives of all this. So that is the composition in reporting. The setup, the reporting setup, the how the hierarchy is in what do you say, print and digital media. In broadcast media, it's slightly different. You will have to ask the admin how to join the WhatsApp group. Somebody wants to join the WhatsApp group, so they will add you in, whoever is the admin. So, in a broadcast media, the hierarchy is slightly different because it's more about production. That is, the reporters, they go and they capture the news. There are a lot of other elements like phone-ons. Then you have you have bytes. You have to. Everything is more visual than in digital or print. So in digital or print, the maximum is, of course, digital has a lot of TV elements right now, but otherwise it's more about visual, means it is more about photographs. But here it is live action that is seen. So the reporter has to deal with it in a different manner. So he'll have to think visually. A TV reporter has to think visually, more visually than a print and a digital journalist. So he goes to a particular area. What he thinks about is whom I can speak to, who can give me bites, and what kind of narrative should I adopt. It should be descriptive. It should make the person, the viewer, draw into the particular visual, so that what you write should be directing the viewer to into the visual. So that kind of approach has to be taken by a TV journalist, who will the admin, please look into the chat and take down the names and add them all into the WhatsApp group, please, because they are asking to be added onto the WhatsApp group. So coming back to our thing, in a TV or a broadcast medium, you have two sections. One is the input section and one is the output section. Input section person, the head of the input section will, it's called the assignment desk. They will sort out the particular event of that day, and they'll assign the reporters, based on which the reporters would go on to the ground and collect the news, along with a cameraman who will grab the visuals. They'll come back, and that will be given to the input team, which will put it in the format of a TV news. There is a particular kind of format that TV news should be in, which you will learn in the writing section. And it has to be some sort of research is also to be done, so that, along with the visuals, the research or the data also goes. So that kind of putting together happens in the input desk. From the input desk, it goes on to the output desk, where further consolidation of the matter happens. More data is revised, the more it is understood. And phonons, like, if there is there any scope of phonons is, that is, while the news is being relayed, if you can reach out to the people on the ground, that is what is called phonons. So all those things are incorporated in the output desk, and then it goes to the anchor, who goes strictly by the narrative which is built in the particular storyline by the output desk. That goes on out into the air. So you have voiceovers. Voiceovers is usually done in the output section, either by the person who's handling that particular story, or it can be phonos, like the anchor himself or herself can call the reporter on the ground and speak to that person. Then the visual is shown as a small clipping. So this entire stuff, entire process is what you say, it's highly researched when it comes to TV, because it's a visual media. The visuals cannot lie, so the background research has to be that proper. So again, investigative reporting in TV is a bit dicey, as you know, because it is visuals, and I have a source who's giving me information. That source will never come online. He will never come into the picture, into the visual, because then his life could be at stake, or his position could be at stake. So dealing with that will require a bit more of tact. Sometimes you blind the person's face, you only show the silhouette. Sometimes you don't show the person's even the silhouette is not shown. Sometimes it is just voice that is played. So different methods are adopted there. That will all be decided by the output desk. Input desk, of course, will collaborate with the output desk, but output desk will be the one that will make the blueprint of the entire news. That is the hierarchy in broadcast media. A rough idea of how digital, print, as well as broadcast media setups are. That is what I wanted to discuss. I suppose it is fairly clear. If there is more you need to understand, kindly ask in the WhatsApp group. We will discuss it over the week. The whole week is there. So if you can put forward your questions there, I can answer during the week. Because if I sit to answer everything right now, we might not be able to proceed further. Am I clear? Is it okay? Response, please.
It is okay.
Yes.
It is
It's
okay.
okay, ma.
Yeah. Anything, you please note it down. You can ask me next time. I mean, next time, WhatsApp group, you can ask me in the WhatsApp group. So then you go to the types of news reporting. Now, reporting techniques, I think we dealt with it already. You have different types of news reporting, sources of origin. Then you have, as I told you, whatever the how do you handle reports from different sections. Like, for example, you have government reports that are sourced from the government. Usually it will come to you. Suppose a government institution is there, and it wants you to publish a particular matter. I'm sorry, there is a new scheme that is being launched. Just give me a moment. I'm really sorry. I'm not keeping well. So in between, I have to take sips of water. So in government institutions, suppose if they want to tell you about what the schemes are. So usually what happens is they'll call a press release. I'm sorry, they'll call a press meet, and the reporters will come from that particular beat. Say education department wants to send across a particular matter that yeah, they are going to launch free for education free for all the girls. So that is a new scheme that's coming up. So they want to tell the reporter, the people about it. They'll call all the reporters. Reporters will assemble at a place, and the government official will start speaking. He'll give you the nitty-gritties of the scheme. He'll hand you a press release with a stamp of the official. He'll give you all matter, data, everything. It's given. So it's more or less transparent. Government institutions, whatever news it gives is transparent, because that is what it wants. It wants to publish the scheme about the more news about the scheme. So it'll tell you all the information about it. The corruption part of it, you will need to deal with it investigatively. That is a totally different thing. What the government wants to tell people, it will provide the reporters all the matter. So government reporting is, you will need to know about the hierarchy in the government, as well as you'll need to know the background of that particular government what do you say, the work that government has done. You'll need to do a bit of research on all that to know what the government is right now bringing. So your role as a reporter there would be to, of course, write about that particular scheme, but also to analyze the scheme with respect to the current situation, how important it is, as well as to correlate it to what all the government did before. So an understanding of all that is required for people who are covering a particular government section. But generally, news that a government wants to give is mostly, very easy. Either they hand out the press releases, or they call a press conference and they announce it. So that is a government reporting. The next thing is reporting from non-government establishments. Again, non-government establishments like corporates, like institutions, like NGOs, like any non-government, the institutions that do not belong to the government, anything. Again, you have a press release, a press meet or a press release, or whatever they hand out. They will talk about what good things they have done or what they are going to do. Again, it is not a big deal. Like, it's more or less handed to you on a platter. So that also is fairly okay. But only thing, they'll have a PRO, that is both government as well as non-government. Whatever information they want to pass on to the press will be through their public relations officer, the PRO. But only thing, what you need to know in a non-government organization, whatever they're trying to give, is you should not give unnecessary mileage to the, say for example, TCS or any corporate is coming out with a particular new scheme. You need not go overboard writing flowery about that organization. Just concentrate on the scheme and write about it. Treat it like you would treat the government. Not, oh god, this particular institution has come out with this scheme for girls, such a nice institute. No, there is no floweriness associated with it. You will have to write the news. Don't go overboard projecting the name of the institution. The projection has to be done on what they are doing, what they want to say, so that the idea, be a little critical there. You have to write it in such a way that this organization, they are claiming to launch this, and if they don't do it well, they will be held accountable. So that kind of a watchdog mentality you should have when you approach especially non-governmental institutions. Not that you become totally accusative, but you become watchful when you report on them. So that is the matter from the non-government institutions. Then you have a reporting that is very famous right now, which most of us do, and which is getting very local right now. Earlier on, it was not so local. Now conflicts are happening everywhere, so it's getting very local. In one way or the other, conflicts are getting local. So conflict reporting is another very important part of reporting. More and more people are getting interested in it, and more people are going for it. But conflict reporting brings with it a baggage of what do you say, risks and issues also. One, if you are not neutral, you can belong to either one of the groups. So say I am reporting on a particular issue, particular conflict between A and B. If I'm not neutral, I'll belong to either A or I'll belong to B. So I won't be a journalist, I'll be a mouthpiece. So you will have to be very clear that you have to be neutral. And how would you be neutral? By balancing both the opinions, A and B. And how will you do that? You trust A and B. There is a neutral agency which will be the watchdog. That agency people you will have to rely on more for your as your sources. For example, government agencies, or if there is a UN peacekeeping force, that particular agency, whatever it is, you will have to go that deep into the study of that conflict to know who the neutral people are, and they would be your real sources. So conflict reporting brings with it a lot of risk. It requires a lot of understanding of the conflict. It requires understanding of the terrain, understanding of the people involved. So conflict reporters are mostly reporters who um, are ready to take the risk, who are ready to study about the issues, and who are a bit risky themselves. They are, they are a bit of daredevils themselves. So such kind of people go into conflict reporting. Conflict reporting also, the idea of the risks involved. A lot of risk is involved in writing of conflict stories, and that will be dealt with later on. But you will have to be very cautious when you do conflict reporting, because and that's becoming very popular right now, because as I said before, conflicts are getting local. Then you have something called parliamentary reporting. I think we discussed about governments. Parliamentary reporting is every day sessions of parliaments happen. In the Indian context, you have winter session, I mean budget sessions. There are different sessions. Parliament meets over the sessions at different periods of, I mean, different intervals, and there will be specified reporters who will be assigned the task of writing on them, reporting on. Just hold on. I'm extremely sorry. I'm a bit unwell today. So, I mean, I've been puking a bit. So,
Okay. But still, the class is very informative and interesting. I find it very, very educating. Thank you. Wish
no,
you could recover.
I'm extremely unwell. I'm not able to, explain further to you. I wish I could do it better. But please bear
Uh,
with me. Uh,
Ma'am, if you do you want us to take a small break, if you don't mind, if you don't like for a few minutes for you
You can even
to
call it
breathe?
a day if you
Yeah,
cannot go
yeah, we
on.
can take a break.
Honestly.
Sure. Very good idea.
Let's take a break so that you can just have something and like for 15
no,
minutes or something.
actually, no. If I take a break, I might I might sleep off because I'm a bit drowsy also. Doesn't matter.
But
We'll complete this. No.
but honestly, if you cannot go on, why not just call it a day? No problem.
Yeah,
Still,
yeah.
I'll
everyone
Just
has
quickly.
let's continue.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'll quickly complete it. It's okay. Just bear
Please,
with
okay.
we
me.
insist. We want your well-being. We insist. We can cover up the rest of the modules by next
Yeah.
class.
Or she can even offers to
We
respond to
can. Let
our
me finish as much as possible. I'll finish a little more, and then I will take. We'll do that next week.
okay.
Well, let me finish as much as possible. A little more, I think I can
Yeah,
handle.
but
So
prioritize
I
your
was talking
health,
about,
ma'am.
Are
yeah.
are
So I
are,
was
are, are you sure? Are you sure? Because we are okay. Or for a break, like for a 10 minutes break if you want.
No, it's okay. Let me carry on
Let
for some
her
more time. After that, I will myself tell you that I'll log out myself, and then probably we can have it next week. Just give
okay.
me.
As you wish.
I'm sorry about this. I mean, you people are investing a lot of time into this, so you shouldn't lose out. So, okay, the parliamentary reporting aspect is about, as I said, when the parliament is in session, there will be a battery of reporters who will be assigned to cover the parliament. So they will be mute spectators. Actually, they have a separate box. In India, you have a separate box where you will sit and just watch how the parliament is moving on, the process, what all laws are being tabled, and how they are going about debating a particular policy, particular points, and that entire session is written down or reported by the parliament reporters, and who will then go to, I'm sorry. Okay, then they will be the one who will, be telling the world or telling the people about what happened in that parliament. So they will need to know about the participants of that particular debate, the faces of the people there in the parliament. They will need to know about who are all the ministers, who are all the parliament members, who are in the opposition. So all these things they have to know. So, parliament reporting is usually done by senior people, mainly because you need to know, to get into the parliament itself. You need to have a certain amount of expertise, certain amount of experience, and to know the people also. You need to you need to know when who is talking. This particular opposition leader is talking in favor or against this particular law. That has to be understood. So that is parliament reporting. And then I'll tell you about parliament reporting in a little bit more detail next time, because I'm just moving through it fast. I'm not able to sit. I'm really sorry for this. Then you have something called participatory reporting. The participatory reporting is, I think I saw one of those reports during the Guantanamo Bay issue. You had one of the person who signed up for this particular counseling, as one of the counselors also. He spent a considerable amount of time in Guantanamo Bay, and then he came out and wrote about it. Probably that was how the world came to know about Guantanamo Bay. So this is called participatory reporting. You actually become part of the process. You enroll yourself over a period of time. You understand how it is being held, and then you come out and write about it. That is called participatory reporting. It is sometimes risky because sometimes you cannot say that you are a reporter. Nobody will allow you in to their insights when you say that you are a reporter. So that is participatory reporting. Then
So, Matt,
judicial
can we
reporting.
say
As
it is more of a, like, investigative reporting? This participatory, can we say it is more of investigative reporting?
Yeah, it's part of investigative reporting. Yes, it is. Then judicial reporting again is, as we discussed, the court and the you need to know about how a court functions, the hierarchy of the court, how court proceedings are done, the terminologies, because court terminologies are very important. You can go to court, your paper will be pulled up if you don't report properly. So that is court reporting. And then you have, as I said, development reporting about a particular scheme or about a process. You can develop on it. You can report on how that is being developed. Can we have the session next week, please? I will take, or sometime over the week, I will finish this. If you don't mind, I'd like to log off.
Yes, please, ma'am. Take care.
Okay.
We will continue next time.
Let's log out.
Yeah, yeah. I think she's not well. Let's log out.
I will surely take it over the weekend, over the week. Please forgive me for today. Thank
Take
you.
care of yourself.
No
No
problem. Take
problem,
care of
Matt.
yourself, please.
That
I
was
wish
fun.
you quick
Really
recovery,
sorry.
please. Yeah. See you next week.
See you next week.